The Orphan is one of those I wish I watched it sooner movies. It's also an I wish I didn't know jack shit about it before getting into it movie. Now let's talk about that. Esther, played by a great child actor, Isabel Fuhrman, I probably really butchered that name, is a grown woman named Lena. That's the big spoiler, which I don't even know if it is a spoiler. I mean, if you've heard about this movie, you've probably also heard about the twist, so I don't know how surprising that is to anyone, but yeah, getting that out of the way. She's a dwarf with a rare disease. So Esther, we're calling her that since she's most commonly known as that, is an insane horny dwarf who poses as a kid so she can be adopted by families and get with the husbands. Or that's kind of what I assume based off this movie, which that isn't really her MO. We'll talk about First Kill when it's released. But anyway, she gets adopted by the Coleman family, I think their name is, with the mom being played by Vera Farmiga. Farmiga? That's just me taking the piss out of it, I know that one was wrong. I loved her in this, by the way. Going into this, I expected I wouldn't be able to see her as anyone other than Lorraine from the Conjuring series, but it wasn't really an issue for me, like Daphne in The Grudge. And I thought she was great. I mean, there were times where I thought her character was acting a bit crazy or strange, but we'll get into that. So the Colemans adopt Esther, and bad shit starts going down when she gets bullied. So Esther wears dresses. Basic ass dresses. I don't know, man. They're nothing crazy, they're just clothes. But these clothes are an issue, apparently, because every kid who sees her thinks she's a clown. And even Mama Lorraine tried to get her to change. I don't get it. I know kids can be dicks, but these just look like basic ass clothes. But okay, whatever. Like I say, I know kids can be dicks. So Esther gets bullied by a mean girl, her adopted brother, his friends, and a group of other kids. And then she screams when her Bible gets destroyed. Which, you know, fair. This is something that makes people sus of her a bit. It's like, oh, you had an outburst at school. She was literally being bullied by a group. And then had her shit destroyed, and people are like, man, that outburst though, I don't know fam, pretty suspicious. Like when the mom finds out, she acts like it's such a huge deal. Oh my god, she's freaking out at school, causing trouble. No, your child was bullied and screamed when her shit was destroyed. Anyway, later we see Esther push the mean girl off a playset, causing her to break her leg. Funny shit. Well, even though she's got little sister Max backing her up, saying the mean girl slipped, Mom was like, nope, no chance of that. She totally did this. Satan. Anyway, because of this bad behavior the mom has no real proof of, she eventually gets in contact with the sister from the orphanage. Sister... nun lady. Whatever her name was. So, sister is like, Esther might be sick in the head. She's been around accidents at school. Plus, she survived an arsonist lighting her home on fire. Lady, what? There's no possible way. Like, okay, I need to defend the evil dwarf here because your logic is so flawed. There is no possible way that she was there for every instant at that school. Like, no possible way. And also, arsonist attempts and survivors, you realize people can survive that. I don't know, just using those two things as evidence to her being sick in the head, it's weird. She survived an arsonist attempt and she was around trouble at school. You know what that means? Goddamn psychotic. This movie has a 2-hour runtime, and I do think they do a good job telling the story, but my god, people are way too suspicious of the most basic shit. Oh, you screamed after being bullied and having your shit destroyed at school. Sicko. What's wrong with you? You mentally disturbed? You survived an arsonist attack? And you've been around bad stuff that happens at school sometimes? You really are a future serial killer, aren't you? I get the movie's trying to build up all this bad shit to be like, yo, she's evil, and they want the characters to have a reason to be suspicious and turn on her. But come on, that shit is just stupid. I really couldn't believe they tried using that shit as evidence of her being psychotic. Anyway, Esther and Max is deaf by the way, just thought I'd mention that, they sneak out. They cause Sister to drive off the road, and Esther beats her skull in with a hammer. It was some sick shit. I don't think I've ever seen a movie where you watch a kid get their hands dirty like that. I mean, yeah, the character's supposed to be an adult, but this is a child actor beating someone's face in with a hammer. I haven't seen something like that done by a child actor before, which was pretty cool. I mean, like, imagine if Andy got his hands dirty in Child's Play and really just brutally murdered Chucky. I mean, Chucky's not a human, but, you know. So I feel like this movie pushes it a little bit in terms of what they do with the main character. But yeah, they definitely do push it quite a bit, and we'll get to that. Back on topic, the murder causes the mom to be suspicious, and some random shit happens with Esther threatening the son of the family in case he saw anything, and the mom gets more sus after learning the Bible was from an asylum, which is stupid. There could be a million different ways she got that Bible. Even in the prequel movie, it looks pretty old. She could have got that any way, any possible way, at a yard sale even. Or an old person at like a church could be like, oh, you need a Bible? Here, I got this one. But the mom's like, oh shit. What's this institute thing? Better call the people in Russia, Czechoslovakia, Estonia. But I just thought it was so stupid that she was like, this Bible has an asylum thing stamped on it. Yup, Esther 100% has something to do with this. That was so stupid. If it said made in China, would you think that she's from China? Well, anyway, eventually after some more shit, it's a 2-hour movie, it's gonna be difficult to give you an exact scene-by-scene breakdown. Esther traps his son in the treehouse and lights it on fire, which I loved. I wanted to see him die, but he lived. This boy left the corner he was trapped in by flames, climbed onto the roof, where he was surrounded by flames, then fell from a seriously deadly height onto the cold, hard ground. Well, this just makes the parents in first kill look pretty weak, but whatever. He then goes to the ER and gets suffocated by Esther. But, he lived. Out of everyone, he really deserved to die. He was just a dick. But somehow, he survived all of that. Anyway, well, naturally, the mom blames Esther for her son nearly dying in the ER, until she punches her in the face. This causes the dad to head home with the kids, and for the mom to get restrained and forced to stay in the hospital, which was weird. I don't think they had any right to do that. But anyway, when she wakes up, she's allowed to leave, because no one called the cops on the lady who punched a child in the face. At home, Esther gets all dolled up and tries making the moves on Dad, which, at least according to the IMDb page, the trivia section, was supposed to be a lot more intense. So yeah. Anyway, she really wants to take him to Pound Town. Too bad for her crazy lass though, because his love you was not at all said in the way hers was, and he refuses to go downtown to Pedo Town. This causes Esther to snap and go on a killing spree, and only managed to kill the dad, somehow, because this grown-ass man couldn't fight off a dwarf who was stabbing him. Man, I don't know how much I can talk about First Kill before it comes out, but I will say, some of the scenes in that movie where Esther's just like involved in fights, it really makes the dad here look really weak and pathetic. Like, dude, it's a dwarf. Just yeet her. Grab her by her tiny ass arm and fling her. I get he had a knife in the back and maybe that like paralyzed him, maybe it hit him in the spine and now he can't walk, but you still have arms. Long, strong arms. Arms that are probably the length of her entire body. Anyway, when Mom gets back, she and Esther eventually wind up in a fight. In this fight, Esther somehow shoots a mirror that Mom was in front of instead of, shooting her. And once Mom's on the rooftop windows, Esther shoots at her but only puts a small hole in the window without shattering it. A window that is a fully grown adult standing on it. Well, anyway, Mom breaks through the window and lands on Esther when, she decides to jump through it, not because, bullet, weight, glass. Then Mom takes Max, who Esther was going to kill, and the two girls head outside, but Esther shows up again and they get into a fight. This one sends them crashing into a frozen lake, and Esther dies. Also, Max shot the ice when she grabbed the gun, and even though Mom called the cops and the cops were in the house, they didn't respond to the gunshot until after a couple-minute long fight scene underwater, and the lake's in the backyard. Moving on from the story, the characters were okay. I love the character of Esther. I thought the mom was great, though to be fair, I thought she acted weird quite a bit, so it's possible my opinion may be swayed by the fact that it's Lorraine from The Conjuring, and I thought Max was good. What I liked about Max is she was all for having a new sibling. She seemed to love the idea of having a sister, and even defended her over the slide incident. She was just a sweet kid. Also, it's never fun watching a kid run in fear for their lives, at least if the acting is decent. So the ending where she was being hunted down by Esther, though I was positive she was going to survive, was still pretty tense because you actually give a shit. The dad was good too. I know he didn't side with his wife on things, and he was being flirty with a woman at the park, which is even more worse once you learn he has cheated in the past, but at the end of the day, he's just a man who cares about his family. Unfortunately, that is it. So yeah, he's a good character, but the little deaf kid had way better moments than he did. He really just served as man of the family. Now the son. Man, I hated this little shit. Kids can be dicks. and boy was he one of them. From the second Esther got to the house, this kid clearly didn't feel right about her. And once we see them in a school, he straight up becomes a bully. Then after we see him be a dick to her the first time, it keeps on happening. Even at home around the family. This little dude was just a dick, through and through, and I really wish we got to watch him die. Or at the very least, do not put him in those intense, deadly scenes, like, you know, falling from a burning treehouse, and be like, whoa, look at that, he lived. Don't do that. Also, since I didn't mention it earlier, early in the movie, we see this little dude shoot the shit out of a bird with a paintball gun. It's clearly in pain, and so Esther puts it down by crushing it with a rock. He then called her the freak. You're the one who shot the bird with a paintball gun. And then when someone put it down, you got all surprised Pikachu? You messed it shit up. Someone had to do it. You should have done it. Well, I mean, you shouldn't have shot the bird, but you should have definitely put it down. Someone had to do it. Moving on to the kills, though there aren't that many, they're still pretty cool. Maybe it's because, she's technically an adult, but they had this kid getting her damn hands dirty. Heck, forget dirty, she had her hands painted in blood. She beat the sister nun lady to death on screen by caving her skull in with a hammer. She later stabs the ever-loving shit out of Dad multiple times. And then she herself dies by getting a kick to the face that snapped her neck. When I go into a horror movie that has a kid as the main character, or as an evil kid, I don't expect to see this level of violence, which really surprised me. I really enjoyed this movie. It did have some slow moments, but nothing that ruined the movie. Also, Isabel, last name, did a great job. And I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name because I'm going to butcher it again. Just like intense violence, when a kid is in a horror movie, I certainly never expect good acting either. But she was really good. And her accent, though there were some moments where it sounded kind of funny, didn't sound bad. Oh yeah, and speaking of accents, I was pretty sure Vera briefly slipped into an accent in the scene where Esther meets Max. I could be wrong though, but I replayed it a couple times and it kind of sounded funny. I don't remember the line, but it was pretty short. If I remember, I'll include it in the video. Anyway, that's been my thoughts on Orphan, and at the end of the day, I'd rate it an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, it has its issues, it certainly wasn't perfect, but it was still a really fun movie. If you've seen this movie, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.